Hey guys, Kapper here, and I got some really good news. The drone survived the last crash. That's right. But it wasn't such a quick thing. I had to go through a lot of steps to get it back to where it is. I wasn't sure it was going to make it, so I'll just show you kind of the steps that I took in getting it back to where it is and what happened. So obviously the crash you see here was not fun. It crashed in the water, and when it hit the water it landed about like this. Okay, so it was about halfway in the water, submerged when I got there. I think the camera was facing sideways. So the first thing that I did is I took it into this bathroom right here. You can see here that it's a tiny bathroom, and I put a heavy-duty dehumidifier in there, and I let it set for about a day and a half to draw out the moisture out of this thing as much as possible. The only physically broken things were one of these legs here. Okay, one of them was bent inward, and the cap was missing here. So I carefully bent it back into position, and I super glued it. Let me see if I can show you that seam here. All right, here is the seam right here. So I super glued that whole seam to give this rigidity, or to make it firm again, and it held just fine. So the only issues I have left are these front sensors. I'm getting an error sometimes, but I had to recalibrate all of the sensors multiple times, and I had to recalibrate the compass multiple times. I basically had to relearn the whole focus process, but here's a couple of the flights that I took in testing it after I got it all dried out. So let's take a look. All right, so let's try this again. Let's hope we get a better picture. I've had to reset all these settings. I'm still getting an error on the sensors, the forward sensors, but it's the camera that I'm more concerned about. And I'm hoping it was just because it wasn't in focus. So let's give it a whirl, see what happens. So I guess what you're supposed to do, see, it's not focusing. Oh, this is a problem. It won't focus. Well, that is a major problem. Okay, I got a focus there, so let's see how the video is going to look. Okay, so these earlier flights here, the problem that I was having was it wasn't in focus. Everything was a little bit fuzzy, and so that concerned me that the camera wasn't working properly. So what I ended up having to do was I had to basically pull the lens cover off and clean it multiple times to get the water staining that was on there from sitting in the water for a few seconds. So that was part of the problem. The other part was the electronics, the autofocus. It wasn't focusing in properly. So after a few flights, I changed settings multiple times. I watched a bunch of videos, and I finally got the autofocus to start working again. And here is some of my final videos that turned out as good as I can expect for having crashed it into the lake. So one of my 9 lives is used up again, but these are tough drones, these DJIs. Not sure what that means about the focus assist, but I was having a lot of troubles with that. So let's go over to this plot and check out this new fence that Terry got put up. I went out and marked the corners with him, and then he did oh, there's a bunch of deer or turkey. Looks like turkey. That's right where I want to put a watering hole too here this season yet. I want to add a new watering hole. Well, we're gonna see what happens here. See how this video turns out. It just wasn't focusing before, and I had to keep cleaning the lenses because they had the water stains on them, and keep toggling the different settings. Obviously, I still have to figure out. It's still struggling with focusing. I have to figure out what that autofocus assistant error means. But if this video turns out crisp and clear, then I'm going to continue using this drone and keep that other new one as the backup.